Hi, my name is Dave Logan, and I'm on the faculty at the USC Marshall School of Business. And thank you for taking just a couple of minutes to look at this video. So I had the opportunity of meeting many of you at the Business Growth Conference in 2011. I was on a panel, it was moderated by Warren Bennis, and something life-changing for me happened at the panel. So forgive me if I just tell you the quick story. We were talking about, among other things, organizational culture. And on the panel, there were several of my fellow panelists that were saying that culture is one of those things that is so easy to spot that people should be able to see it right away and create great cultures. And other panelists were saying, no, culture is very difficult to see. Maybe it's easy for an outsider, but it's difficult for people inside. And my head was just spinning with all of this information. And I wondered, why is it that if you go into some organizational cultures, they are so well run. And in those organizational cultures, every single person has decided that they are going to make sure that that culture becomes great and stays great. And I'm talking about places like Zappos. You might remember Tony Hsieh was a speaker at the Business Growth Conference last year, and he mentioned a couple of books, one of which was a book that I had the honor of writing with a couple of co-authors, and that book is called Tribal Leadership. So as I was sitting there on this panel, Warren then turned to me and asked me the question about culture, and I said, I think I just figured this out. See, culture is a bit like, forgive the expression, wine tasting. Most people, let's be honest, can't tell the difference between a lousy glass of wine and a great one. And so for a lot of people, they taste wine, and maybe other people around the table say how great it is, and so they start talking about how great it is. But the truth is, they really can't tell the difference between what they're drinking and a glass of $2 Chuck. See, I think it's the same way with culture. Most of us want to talk about it, right? We want to talk about culture as being important. We want to talk about the variables of culture. We want to talk about what we're doing. But the truth is, the vast majority of business people just don't get culture, in the same way that the vast majority of Americans can't tell the difference between a good glass of wine and one that they shouldn't be drinking at all. So what all of this leads to is a fairly unique offer. And I want to thank the organizers of the conference for making this offer available to people. First of all, there's nothing in this for me. So Tribal Leadership, the book that you heard Tony Hsieh mention and that I mentioned and that Warren Bennis mentioned on this conference, is coming out in paperback in just a few days. As part of the launch of the book, between now and June 2nd, we are making the book available at far below our cost. So again, we make nothing from the book. In addition, we're reaching into our own pockets as authors and donating $2 for every book that is sold through this website to a wonderful charity called Charity Water. Charity Water is what we call a Stage 5 organization. 100% of the money raised goes to providing sustainable drinking water for people in the developing world, especially in Africa and now parts of India. I happened to meet Scott Harrison, the head of Charity Water, at a Zappos.com event. Tony Hsieh introduced me and said that there's something that we both needed to learn from one another, and he was absolutely right. What I've seen in Charity Water is what I believe organizations all around the world, especially in the for-profit sector, can become, that are so well run, so well led, they're so energizing, they're so motivating. You feel more excited, more motivated at the end of the day than at the beginning of the day. So going back to the panel, one of the things that occurred to me is, first of all, people need to learn the difference between a mediocre culture and one that really can change the world. I very much hope that you and perhaps people that you work with reading Tribal Leadership will help in that regard. And secondly, people need to get exposure to these organizations that are changing the world every single day. So we very much hope that you'll become a part of this special offer. Again, it expires on June 2nd. Thank you for your friendship and your partnership with this conference, and look forward to seeing you next year.